So we're switching gears from fractions, moving over to coordinate planes. So today we're going to look at 4 different things with a coordinate plane. First, what a coordinate plane is. Then, what quadrants in a coordinate plane are. Then looking at what ordered pairs are. And then we'll talk about reflections in a coordinate plane. Okay, possibly all pretty new topics that you've maybe briefly discussed, okay, but maybe haven't learned a lot about. So make sure you're taking notes. Make sure as I do examples, if there's something like you just know I should probably write this down because I might not remember, you need to write it down, okay? So first thing I want to look at is just what basically a coordinate plane is, all right? So a coordinate plane, like it said in what you wrote down, is 2 lines, okay? I'm going to turn the light off for just a second so we get rid of that glare. I know it makes it kind of dark, sorry. These are actual lines. That's why anytime you see a coordinate plane, you'll see that there's arrows on the end of each side. I'll turn the light back on in just a second. The horizontal line, the line going across like the horizon, is called the x-axis, and that is how the x is written, okay? The vertical line, the line going up and down, is your y-axis, okay? So a coordinate plane is simply an x-axis and a y-axis that intersect. That was your definition, okay? Turn this back on because it's just better with it. So a coordinate plane is formed when an x and y axis intersect at their 0 points. That right there is a coordinate plane with a bright dot on it. X-axis always goes horizontal. Y-axis always goes vertical. So where those 2 lines intersect is 0. A coordinate plane is always going to have what I call like tick marks on it. So you can view the x-axis as a number line, the y-axis as a number line, okay? Where they intersect is 0. So if this is a number line and the intersection is 0, this would be 1, 2, 3. It goes on into infinity. That's why there's an arrow. If this is 0 and this is a number line, this would be -1, -2, whoops, -3, okay? The x-axis is just simply a number line. The y-axis is also just a number line. Where they intersect is 0. So if I'm going up, these would be positive. Stop with the noises. If they're going down, these would be negative. That's a coordinate plane. X-axis, y-axis intersect. Where they intersect is 0. Your number lines go from there. That is exactly what a coordinate plane is. Okay? Questions about just the foundation of a coordinate plane. Now, not every coordinate plane is going to count by ones. You may have a coordinate plane that goes by 2s, so it would be 2, 4, 6, -2, 4, 6, +2, 4, 6, -2, 4, 6. It's just a number line. But however one side counts, all the others have to count the same exact way. And you'll notice on coordinate planes that are actually drawn for you, they'll typically be drawn on graph paper. So these little tick marks are all evenly spaced. When I draw it, I do the best I can, but I can't promise you that it's exactly the same spacing. Okay, but you can get the idea. So if they count by hundreds over here, 100, 200, 300, all of the axes need to count by hundreds. Okay, then next thing you wrote down about was quadrants. okay? You are going to have to keep the term quadrant in ordered pair straight in your head. Quadrants. There are only 4 of them on a coordinate plane. This space here is quadrant 1. They're always written with Roman numerals, okay? Then we go counterclockwise. This section over here is quadrant 2. This section down here is quadrant 3. And this section over here is quadrant 4. So if I had a dot up here, that's in quadrant 1. If I had a dot down here, that's in quadrant 3. If I had a dot over here, that's quadrant 4. A dot up here, that's quadrant 2. Quadrants are different than ordered pairs. Right? Ordered pairs I'll get to in just a second. But that is your foundation of what a coordinate plane is and what quadrants are. If you think of the word quad, how many is quad? Gavin? 4. So why do you think they're called quadrants? If a quad is 4, whether it's a quadrilateral or a motorcycle that you buy and it's called a quad, why do you think these are called quadrants? Liana?
Because like on a square there's 4 like sides and then on that there's 4 sides.
There's 4 sections. Absolutely. That's why they're called quadrants. Very different than an ordered pair. You're going to have to remember that. You have it written down, but you're going to have to remember it. So then, next thing we're going to look at is ordered pair. Another clue to what this means. How many things are we talking about when we discuss a pair, whether it's a pair of shoes or a pair of gloves or a pair of socks? If your parents tell you to go get a pair of socks, how many socks are you grabbing? Anicia? 2. An ordered pair contains 2 things. Got a question, Tristan?
Oh, no.
Okay. Ordered pair deals with 2. Quadrant deals with 4. Knowing those root words, which I know you learned in 5th grade, can help you with a lot of things. Okay. So an ordered pair is X and Y location on a coordinate plane. And I'm going to go over plenty of examples. X value is always first. Y value is always second. And it's always written parenthesis, X, comma, space, Y, parenthesis. X values always first, Y values always second. If you switch them and you put the Y location first and the X location second, you will miss all of them. Okay, so we have to be careful with that. So let's look at ordered pairs. And a bright dot. So again, this might be something that you just listening and looking at it is fine. You may need to write some things down. That's up to you. So if I have a dot, and again, I don't have graph paper, so I do the best I can. First of all, what quadrant is that blue dot in? Quadrant. Jeremiah?
1.
It is in quadrant 1. That's all it would be asking. There are only 4 quadrants. Okay? Now, if they ask for the ordered pair, again, some of you are going to miss this on the Canvas assignment because you're not paying attention and you're going to type it wrong. Every ordered pair is typed in parentheses with a comma to separate. X value is always first. Y value is always second. So that blue dot, and I do not like my shining ring. I know. That blue dot What value on the X line is it with? X. X has to come first. Where is the blue dot in location to the X line? Kaylee?
3.
3. Absolutely. So that would be your X value. Where is it in relation to the Y line or the Y axis? Liana?
1.
1. So the ordered pair for that blue dot, 3, 1. It's at the 3 on the X, the 1 on the Y. How many of you have ever played Battleship? Same exact idea. Except Battleship, you have a letter and a number. Okay? We're still playing Battleship, but we're using 2 numbers. All right? This blue dot, if you kind of called it out on Battleship, it would be at 3. That's your X value. 1, that's your Y value. 3, 1. Same thing as Battleship, except Battleship only deals with 1 quadrant. You have 4 to deal with. Kaylee, I'm going to go through more examples, so I may end up answering your question. The number 1. Perfect. So when you're looking for the Y value, which is your second number, you have to see where it is on the Y axis. And it's at the 1 on the Y. It's at the 3 on the X. X is always first, so it's at 3 on X. It's at the 1 on the Y. Does that make sense? If not, I'm doing a couple more examples, so it'll probably be more concrete. All right, let's look at another location. If I have this dot here, okay, which quadrant is it in? Quadrant, not ordered pair. Quadrant. Summer. The third one, quadrant 3. Absolutely. Okay. Now, if I want the ordered pair, I need the value that it is for X and the value that it is for Y. X always comes first. Y always comes second. So, Kayla, I'm going to go back to you. All right. It's okay if you get it wrong. On the X axis, where is this purple dot? It is. Perfect. It's at -3 on the X. Okay. Where is it on the Y, or best? Like I said, I don't have graph paper, so I do the best I can. Where do you think it is on the Y, Kaylee? Don't tell her. Let her think. It doesn't do her any good for someone to just give it to her. Take a guess. You're super close. And it could be just my drawing. So if we go across to the Y, where is it probably on the Y? Yes. Your book has them drawn on graph paper. It's much easier to see. But I'm glad you said negative. Okay? The X value is -3. It goes straight up to the 3. The Y value is at -2 or close to it. Okay? So your ordered pair would be parenthesis -3, comma, space -2 parenthesis. Okay? Now, I'm going to throw one in there that's going to come up because it will be confusing. We have a dot right here. First question, I'm going to get the wrong answer, and that's fine. What quadrant is it in? And I'll probably get a wrong answer. Michael, what do you think?
2.
Okay, that's a good guess. Not correct, which is fine. And I expect another wrong answer in a second. If it's not in quadrant 2, that's why your hand's in the air. Don't need to tell me. Alyssa, you were thinking something, and you might be wrong. What were you thinking?
3.
Not 3 either. I get 2 more wrong answers. Gavin?
None.
It's in none of them. And that's exactly what you would put. None. N-O-N-E. It's not in any of the quadrants. None of them. Okay? So that's exactly what you would type. N-O-N-E, none. It has to actually be in a quadrant to be in a quadrant. Okay? Ordered pair. Kind of tricky also, but we should be able to get it. What is the X value of that red dot? X value of that red dot. Tristan?
That's 1.
Nope. If it was 1, it would be over here. And again, I expect wrong answers for this one. That's why I'm doing this one, because this one's tricky. If it had an X value of 1, it would have to be over here. I see you. Don't have to wave at me. That's why I have peripheral vision. Kaylee?
0.
It's 0. The X value is 0. Because if you come straight down, it's at the origin, and that's 0. What's the Y value? Now, Y value is pretty obvious because it's right on it. Gavin? 2. Okay, it's in none quadrants, and its ordered pair is 0, 2, because it's at 0 on the X, and it's at 2 on the Y. Okay, so that's ordered pairs. Remember, pair of jeans, pair of shoes, pair of socks, pair of gloves. You have to have 2 numbers. Quadrants, you're dealing one of the 4 locations, or it's none of them. Okay? I know it's a lot today. Unfortunately, we have one more thing. Reflections. So I'll give you a minute. I know. Trust me, you'll survive. After you get your huffing and puffing out, because you're like, oh, we have to write more notes. Yes, you do. Wait till you get to high school and college. Shh. By the time you complained, you could have had one sentence written. Anyway, I'm going to talk while you're writing this. So, how many of you have either used your phone or someone else's phone on the camera and clicked it to turn the camera backwards so it's like in selfie mode? Perfect. I'm sure 99% of you. You can put your hands down. What do you notice when you look at that picture? Have you ever actually looked at it, noticed some things and been like, why is that like that? Besides the fact that I do not like any selfie of myself. That's not what I'm talking about. If you put your camera or a friend's camera in selfie mode and take a picture and you actually look at the picture, anyone ever noticed anything that you were like, that's weird, besides the people in it?
Yeah.
Liana, ever noticed anything different?
My cat is blurred.
Okay, they could definitely be blurry, that's for sure. Isaiah?
I just don't get away all the time.
Besides that, of the actual picture, some of you are going to need to look at them a little more closely. Kaylee?
The grid?
Okay, maybe. We'll try one more. Michael?
Backwards, sort of?
Everything is backwards. Absolutely. So the next time you take a selfie, actually look at it. Easy thing to do, like if you swoop your hair a certain way, if you look at a picture taken in selfie mode, your hair is going to be swooped the other way. Girls, you could take, if you wear earrings, take one earring out, and then you'll notice if you take it in selfie mode, in the picture, that earring's on the opposite ear. Everything is backwards. That's called a reflection, which is what we're going to talk about next. When you turn on your camera in your phone and you click that little button to put it in selfie mode, it's not physically flipping the camera around. That's not possible. Okay? It's using the camera in reflection mode. It's using a mirror to kind of take the picture backwards. And it makes everything in the picture backwards. So that is exactly what we're going to talk about when we talk about reflection on a coordinate plane. Okay? A reflection makes things the opposite. So tonight when you get home, if you don't have a phone, ask your parents to use yours. Take a selfie and see if you can notice what is backwards. Okay? Shh. She's not talking to me while she's raising her hand. She's also not waving at me or like halfway out of her seat. She's patiently raising her hand, waiting till I shut my mouth and until I call on her. Because I'm not going to call on her till I shut my mouth. And now I just wasted 2 more minutes because I had to explain that to you. Anicia.
The green and the red one is the same.
They are, except opposites.
Oh,
There is
why in the
bingo. Yep. They're phrased exactly the same, except maybe 3 words, 4 words different because they are exact opposites of each other. It'll make sense when I draw it on a coordinate plane and show you. Yes, Jeremiah.
So, whenever you said if you don't have a phone, go ask your parents to use your phone.
I said theirs.
Oh,
If I said yours, I may have. Probably because I'm a human and when I talk, some things don't come out like they're supposed to. Did you understand what I meant?
Yeah.
Then you don't need to ask a question. All right, I'm going to cover this up in a second, but it'll be back if you don't get it all written down. So remember, reflection, backwards, all the way down. So Gavin, I don't want you reflecting and turning backwards, okay? We got to stay in regular picture mode, not selfie mode. All right, coordinate plane is back. Horizontal is always the X, vertical is always the Y. So if I'm counting by ones, I'm not going to number all of them. You guys can all count by one. If I have a point here, okay, what is my ordered pair for that dot? X value first, Y value second. Anicia?
2 and 1.
2, 1. X value of 2, Y of 1. So I think first I talked about across the x-axis. Okay. So if we reflect that dot across the x-axis, that means I'm taking this dot and I'm going to roll it right across the x-axis, and it would end up about here. All right. So this is why what you just wrote down. When you reflect something across the x-axis, the x value stays the same because it is still at 2. What changed is the y value. The y value is exactly the opposite of what it was. So instead of being at 2, 1, it's now at 2, -1. So if it's reflecting across the x-axis, it's just rolling down the x-axis. X stays the same. Y is the opposite. It's exactly what I wrote for you. Okay. Now, if we reflect that across the y-axis, we're taking this dot and we're rolling it directly across the y-axis. So it would end up over here. When it's rolling across the y never changed. It is still at y1. Okay, so if it's reflecting across the y-axis, the y does not change. The x is the opposite. It is now at -2x. So whichever one it reflects across, that one stays the same. The other value is the opposite. Across the x, x stays the same. Across the y stayed the same. It's a reflection. So you're just taking the opposite of whatever one it did not reflect across. Okay? So, a couple things I want to go over before you get started with your assignment. Your portfolio. that we spent 2 days doing in class is due tonight. So again, to submit that portfolio, we will get it uploaded to your portfolio tomorrow. I'm not worried about that part. To actually submit it to me for your grade, going home. To actually submit it to me for a grade on Monday, Tuesday, in the assignment box is where the link is. I showed you this yesterday. When you click on the assignment, now mine is not going to look right because I don't actually log in as a student. This is just like a student view. You will click Start Assignment. Then you have to click on Google Drive. Once you click on Google Drive, and this should be the same way you've done other things, there will be a search box. You can just type in Math First Semester Portfolio and yours should pop up. Make sure it has your name. Then you click whatever it says, link or submit, and then you have to click submit again on the next page. Okay? You can also just find it in the assignment list because it's due tonight, so it's going to show up in your like upcoming assignments, so it's right here. Then the assignment you are doing today, you will have to look at your book because the actual graphs you need are in your textbook on page 399. But you are putting all your answers into this Canvas assignment. So a few things I want to point out. When you're doing quadrants and typing them into iLearn, iReady, iExcel, Canvas, you can't type a Roman numeral. So you're using capital letters. Quadrant 1 would be a capital I. Quadrant 2 would be 2 capital I's. Quadrant 3 would be 3 capital I's. Quadrant 4 is a capital I, a capital V. Or it might be none of them. N-O-N-E. Ordered pairs. Parenthesis. X value. Comma. A space. Y value. Parenthesis. You have to put a space after the comma or it will be marked wrong. If you're typing in English class, anytime you type a comma, there's a space. So ordered pairs, parenthesis, X value, comma, space, Y value, parenthesis. That's how you type this stuff. You will need to know that. And someone wasn't listening, I'm sure, and is going to ask me about that. So for $3.99, you're going to have to actually look at the charts in your book. You will not turn the book page into me. It's being submitted in Canvas, so you know immediately how you score. Portfolio needs to be submitted this evening. Any questions? Yes.
So we're playing like quad and pair. We're playing both of those.
I think the first question will be your ordered pair. Then when you go to the next question, it's going to ask you for the quadrant. Yeah, go by what the Canvas is asking you. Okay?